Welcome once again to Look Blues Talking on a night where there is the Europa League, the English League Cup, and the KDM Evolution Trophy. We're going to ignore all of that is ongoing because we're here to talk about all things blue and all things Stranraer. I am joined by one half of everyone's favourite commentary duo, Brian Martin, and cameraman, committee member, and probably another few things that I'm missing out, George Frank. After a draw with Elgin, victory over Motherwell B, we're unbeaten, guys. It's a week unbeaten. George, I'll start with yourself. Football's full of opinions. I think at full time, the Elgin boss wasn't convinced it was a penalty for us. And I think at full time, Chris Aitken wasn't convinced that Kane Hester had meant the goal for them. What are your thoughts on those two incidents?
I'm probably with Alan Hale. I don't think it was a. I think if anything, it was a soft penalty. I think Ryan's been he's done well to win it, put it that way, and that's changed the game for us. Um, the In terms of Hester's goal, I think it's a moment of brilliance. Looking back at it, I wonder whether Josh kind of taking a step forward has prevented him from being able to reach that ball on the goal line. But that aside, I think you don't often see finishes like that. It's a lovely touch from Hester and probably the highlight of the game and from a kind of skills standpoint.
I guess as well, George, and this is to take nothing away from the finish, but with all due respect to Kane Hester, if he tries that 100 times, how many do you reckon are ending up in the back of the net?
It's probably one that he does all the time at training and hits the ball over the fence and gets fined 50 quid for. But yeah, just a moment of brilliance, and it's one of these goals that it's kind of frustrating to lose because we were, I wouldn't say on top, but we were matching them and we had the lead and we had something to defend. And to lose a goal in that fashion, they've not beaten us through any other means than one little moment of quality, and so one to take.
What about yourself, Brian? I think the penalty a wee bit similar to how Sean Docherty was sent off in the sense that I don't imagine the Elgin defender knew that Ryan Edgar was going to kind of come round him and he swung for the ball and taken out the man.
Hi, good evening, Tom. I'll start with the game shortly, but I must issue an apology to Tiff last week. I was criticising his team lineup because he dropped uh, Marky Russell, but I got a message from Marky to say that he'd been ill all week and he couldn't play. So my apologies to Tiff. I didn't know the circumstances. Usually hear something, but we never heard anything. So that's me starting off. I like to keep in with the gaffer. Anyway, I called it. I thought it was a penalty. I called it right away. And I always think by the player's reaction. Only one player thought it wasn't a penalty, and that was the player who committed the foul. The rest of them, maybe they never noticed it. I don't know, but they just walked back, to the 18-yard line. Fair enough. And I said to Lawrence right away, that's a penalty. You know, obviously the boy didn't know he was, but it's you say, Carmen, exactly the same as Sean Docherty. The boy didn't ken Brian was there, and I mean he never connected the ball. And I thought he brought Brian down, and I thought it was a stone wall penalty for the goal. I mean, it was a fantastic to me. It was a fantastic bit of skill. And I think I said in the chat, he'd maybe do it once in 100. But I mean, when you look back in the last two or three games, Carmen, there's been some cracking goals against Stranraer at the Ecreponts this season. I mean, even go back to Jenky for Clyde, even
Hmm.
though I was, criticising the Stranraer defence. It was a good bit of skill with Jenky. And then we had Bradley Barrett for Edinburgh, to put them 2-1 up. And I think, was it Cammy Russell with a strike outside the box? So, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, four really good goals. And I think I heard somebody saying this is what happens when, your luck's just a wee bit maybe no in. You start to see these kind of goals going against you, but it was a great bit of skill by Hester.
In terms of the game, Brian, as a whole, a wee bit of a game of two halves that I thought we probably edged the first half, and then the second half, I thought we were hanging on a wee bit before they got their equaliser.
Yeah, I mean, loads of various opinions about the game. Carmen, well, me and Lawrence thought it was quite a good game, end to end stuff. But some people didn't like the game. They thought it was a terrible quality game. So I mean, it's all about opinions, isn't it? But I think we're talking about the second half for Elgin coming into the game because I don't think they had a chance. They hadn't a goal mouth chance in the first half. I can remember a corner coming in and it bounced. They had a chance to score then. I think Hester had a chance at the far post when he put it at the side net. But I
Yep.
think that was it for Elgin in the first half. They played some, as I like to call it, tippy tappy, some nice stuff, but it wasn't getting them anywhere. And I've got to say, the boy Spalding for Elgin, the midfielder, I thought he was outstanding. I don't know if it's by design at Tiff, just to let him have the ball, but my dear, and I was talking to a guy going out the park, an Elgin City guy, an employee, and he was telling me Elgin put a email out to clubs in the championship. We're kind of short in midfield. Have you got a midfielder? And our bro said, "Aye, there you go. We'll get you Spalding." I says, "My dear," I says, "they must have a great midfield if that boy can, be allowed to go to a League Two side." Anyway, back to the game. Second half, after we scored, I think I said in comment, that's the third time this season, Cammy, we've not held on after, going in front. We've done it against Edinburgh, we've done it against Clyde, and now we've done it against Elgin. And you're probably looking, I mean, last season or the season before, if Stranraer went in front at home, very, very difficult to beat. I think the starts of the show were really good when we went on top, but this season that's 3 games. And I think Martin Fellis touched on it last night. They're trying to stop it becoming a kind of basketball game, and I don't know if you can go back to the Edinburgh City game. They scored I think they went 2-1 up with about 15 to go or something like that. And the ball was never in the park. They either fouled or, they just stopped the game completely. And that's something Stranraer has got to learn, game management, because, it costs you points. And but if it hadn't been for Esther's goal, I suppose we're going to come to a 1-0 win. But, it's another point which I thought it wasn't a must win game, but a must not lose game. And I think the team battled on well to get the point.
I do like the image of somebody sitting in an office at Elgin City, just typing in like secretary at for each of the championship clubs, be like, "Dear club, we are looking for a midfielder. Please could you help us out?" And just sending
Yeah.
that out on mass. Who knows? Maybe that's exactly how it happens. What about yourself, George? What were your thoughts on the overall match against Elgin at the weekend?
I thought it was entertaining. I'm with Brian on that. I thought it was particularly towards the end. It was end-to-end stuff, and plenty of chances for both sides. I didn't think there was too much in it. I was impressed with Spalding. Again, if you can pick up a play like that off the back of a random email, maybe we need to be spamming some SPFL clubs ourselves. There is a bit of that, I think, in the SPFL. You tend to get messages from clubs saying, "Oh, we've got this player we're trying to get rid of," rather than the other way around. But um, yeah, I think it's another one of those that we came in hoping that would be the 3 points to kind of get our season up and running, and maybe it's just a step in the right direction rather than necessarily um, a step backwards. We're stepping sideways, and hopefully we'll get the 3 points in the coming weeks.
Brian kind of highlighted this, George, but do you think it's that all important kind of 15, 20 minutes after we go in front where we just need to stop it? Easier said than done, but we just need to stop the opposition from kind of getting momentum behind them and kind of camping us in. If we can do it, whether it's by scoring a second, whether it's by just slowing the game down, we just need to kind of see out that period.
I think that was it on Saturday. We needed to get that second goal. I think we probably sat a little bit too deep, and invited them onto us, and that's how they capitalised. We just weren't really creating enough. We weren't really, threatening them much after our goal, and it was only going to end one way. Like you say, we've seen that a few times this season, and we need to be, scoring one, ideally kind of pushing on and playing in the same way that's got us into the lead in the first place, rather than necessarily pulling everyone back. I think the likes of James Dolan does so much good work, works really hard, but I think him and several others will be disappointed with the end product so far, for all the effort that they're putting in. And I think, yeah, we really need to start attacking with intent and putting games to bed.
That'd be fair, Brian, that obviously, again, easier said than done, but if we can turn a 1-0 into a 2-0, obviously it gives you that bit of breathing room.
Yeah, again, I said it in the chat on Saturday night. If Corey O'Donnell scores with a chance, he gets it 1-0. It's 2-0. And it's game over. I would think. But it's just, I think maybe a lack of confidence. You've no one at home, and they're absolutely desperate. And of course they drop back 2 or 3 yards to try and protect the lead. There's not much you can do about Hester's goal, as we keep on saying. Apart from that, I mean, they had a couple of good chances near the end. I've got to say, Josh Lane had a couple of terrific chances, but it's just, I think it's a nervous thing. I mean, get that second goal, get a bit of insurance, you're going to win the game. But if you've no won it all season at home or away, it's just getting those 3 points on the board. But I think the team were desperate not to lose the game, which I always think is not a bad sign to have. You know what I mean? So I mean, I keep on saying it, Tommy, but I said at the start of the season on the podcast that I think Stranraer are probably the top three best defence in League Two. I'll side by that. I still think they will have. I think they've conceded 11 so far. Spartans have conceded 7. They're the best. But the defence is absolutely fine. It's just going forward. I think is a wee problem we've got. And I mean, once that clicks, I think we'll be absolutely fine.
We're not losing by big
No,
margins either, but it's by the odd goal, and
that's
I
right.
think maybe it's the hope that kills you. But
Yeah.
I think if we can, yeah, get a bit more at the other end of the park, we'll be all right.
You touched on it as well, George, that obviously we want the 3 points. We want the 3 points every week. That doesn't change. But hopefully, getting that point on the board, can it just slowly but surely we can start kind of generating positive momentum now.
Yeah, I think that's it, and hopefully that's the kind of tide turning, and you can add on the draw that we had against Clyde, quite a few weeks ago, but. I think if you look at the league campaign as a whole, it's not been a success so far, and we need that win to get us up and running. And there's a lot of pressure on the players to do so, but hopefully, again, it's coming.
I guess, Brian, it's one of those things that you can't control the pressure in the sense that obviously the longer it goes without the win, the more the pressure mounts, and it just kind of keeps going in a cycle like that. That until we get that win, the pressure will just keep building.
You're absolutely right, and you can feel it off the crowd as well. I mean, you can feel it when on Saturday when Elgin were pressing for the equaliser and pressing for the winner. I mean, you can feel the crowd on edge, and it makes the crowd a bit more, what's what I'm looking for, on edge basically. So I mean, you've got to try and get that first win. You know what I mean? And no matter how you do it, a fluke or a bad performance, but a 1-0 win, you just got to get that first win, and then you can look up the table, and I mean, we're only a win off Annan now. That's our first target is Annan, to start climbing up the table. So that is our aim to get above them. We play them a fortnight, but we've got Dumbarton before that, obviously. But that is the first aim to get to Annan.
I'll ask you both about this in terms of again the Elgin manager after the game was full of praise for Josh Lane for his save right at the end from Jack Murray's header. Um, as I say, I'll ask you both where does that rank in terms of best saves you've seen at Stair Park? I think the one that comes to mind for me, I think it was David Mitchell against Ayr United. I think it was Kevin Kyle that had the effort. Where does Josh's save rank for you both? I'll come to you first, George.
I immediately thought of that save when you started asking the question. That one where he's almost going one way and he lifts the ball out of the air. Yeah, it was a brilliant save. I think that Mitchell one probably tops it. There was another one, not sure if it was, I think it was the following season against Dundee United from a free kick. And the kind of free kick's curling into the top corner. And Mitchell seems to sprint and manage to make it to the top corner and tip it over. Um, yeah, just amazing acrobatics, and those two are the top ones for me.
What about yourself, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Lane has come away with some terrific saves lately. Even last season when I had him loan, he was really good. I mean, we've had a number of good keepers throughout the years. I'm not the greatest at remembering saves. I can remember the boy at still in Albion when the score was. I think was it. Am I right saying it was two each? Was it? That was 2006. I can't remember the keeper now, but he made a fantastic save. I think it was probably to maybe win us a title because I think the following week we won the title. And that was one of I can't remember the keeper's name. 2006, Cammy, come on, against
Is that
Stalin
Andy
Albion.
McConaughey?
Could have been, yeah. I think you're right. Yep, I think you're right. It was Andy. What a fantastic save it was. I can get back to that. I mean, that as I say, it wasn't it stay apart, but I mean, we've had some great keepers throughout the years. And I'm quite sure Josh is in line to become another one.
We move on to last night. Chris Aitken had said there would be plenty of changes, George, and he wasn't kidding.
Yeah, I think it was nine in total, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good to see a bit of a change, and the players that came in had an opportunity to stake their claim to a place, and I think a few of them probably have for Saturday. Again, we've got a bigger squad. We've probably got that opportunity to bring some new blood in, and with the results that we've been having, it's worthwhile, I think, to see who's there and who can do a better job than the players that have been playing on the Saturday. For me, I think the guys that showed up well, Danny McManus, um, and the one of the goals of the season potentially from him. I thought Turi Lang linked up well up top. Again, it's kind of early days for the two of them playing together, but I'm a fan of both players, and just good to kind of get the confidence up and get that important win. And obviously, the main headline is we've progressed in the tournament, and there's a nice 15K sitting in the club's bank accounts as of whenever that comes in.
I think for obvious and varying reasons, Brian, Evan Dunn, Ronan Hughes, Robbie Foster were the only players not getting minutes over the last two games.
Yeah, I think Ronan Hughes is still struggling to come back from injuries. I think Chris said he had a tear in his hamstring, so it must be pretty severe. But I mean, as you say, he gave a run out to all the squad members, which is really good to see. I'm quite sure you're going to come on to it later on, Tommy, but quite hard to judge against, youngsters from Motherwell. I think under 19s, isn't it? It's very, very hard, to put, I mean, it's great to win, and as I said in a comment today, you can only beat what's in front of you. But Stranraer had an old team as well. Stranraer's average age was 22, so we were quite a young team as well, but we had a lot of experience, guys who had played, you know, in the league this season, last season, a couple of West of Scotland guys. So I mean, it's a good run out for them. But as I say, it's quite hard, to gauge that performance. As I said to you guys earlier on, Clyde had about 27 shots against them, so I knew it was going to be one-way traffic, because I thought we were better than Clyde when we played them, so I knew it wouldn't be very easy for Motherwell. But it's great. I mean, I was delighted for Dern and Sal getting their goals. I mean, Dern, that's got 70 minutes under his belt. That's his first start. Am I right, Carmen, saying since early May? So I mean, he's been working really hard to get that start. We'll talk about the team. I'm quite sure at Dumbarton later on, but I think he's maybe got a couple of choices to make for Saturday.
Yeah, I think Darren had posted on social media saying his first start for 5 months and comes away with a goal and an assist as well. Before we get to the kind of match itself, George, what do you feel kind of both sides get from these games? And when I say both sides, I mean Stranraer and the B teams as a whole, rather than specifically Motherwell.
Um, I think obviously from a Motherwell standpoint, on the face of it, how it's been presented is it's them getting to play against senior players and experienced players, and having that experience of playing against grown-ups, if you want to call it that. For us, there is the prize money there, and I think for me, I've quite enjoyed the Tuesday night games, and I think there's a lot of people that have gone away from Stair Park having enjoyed their Tuesday night of the football. So there is an extra game purely from a kind of fan perspective of entertainment. I don't know what the players our players get from it. It's better than a bounce game, I suppose. They probably prefer it to a kind of Tuesday night training session, and it's the chance to get some of these fringe players some minutes as well. So there are these benefits, and I think obviously the counter to that is a lot of people just aren't interested in watching youth players against their team or their team against um, a club that doesn't have a history or an identity to speak of, let's say. Um, so yeah, it's a kind of double-edged sword.
In terms of the goals, I'll come to you first again, George. But in terms of the goals, I appreciate it's something that's coached at the very top level, and it seems to kind of, like all things, kind of trickle down. But each of the goals was Motherwell trying to play out from the back, and Stranraer just getting on top of them and winning the ball. And I appreciate that clubs want to have an identity, they want to have a philosophy, etc. And I appreciate that, obviously, as you touched on, they're at a different stage of their journey to the Stranraer first team. But equally, surely there's got to be a realization, just for a kind of game situation, that if this isn't working, don't keep doing what's not working. Because it just invited pressure on time and time again.
I think their problem was the alternative probably wouldn't have worked either. So they may as well stick with what they were doing and and that's the way they're coached and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, there was one moment where I think David Kelly on commentary had said, "Oh, we know they're not going to go direct," and that was the one time that they played a long ball after he said that.
Commentators curse right there.
Yeah. But yeah, apart from that, like you say, every single goal came from them playing it out from the back, us pressing them really well. I thought we did well with the press, particularly Kirk McKnight and Tommy Sharp. We had quite an energetic midfield that went after them, and yeah, all the goals came from them trying to play out. I'd say most of the chances, if not all the kind of chances from open play came from that. Set piece wise, we were quite well organised. I noticed David had asked Martin Fellows in the post-match interview about the set pieces, and his face lit up because I know Martin works on the set pieces a lot through the week, and he was delighted to have that mentioned. But yeah, I thought there were lots of positive signs, but it's yeah, you can only beat the team that you're playing up against, and there wasn't much of an opposition last night. But I'll take a win any night of the week.
What about yourself, Brian? Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes think are they maybe frightened to go along in case they get a bot? Are all looking for their coach? Because they all wanted to play. I mean, I think every coach thinks they're Pep, no, Pep Guardiola. Because they like to play it out the back. Probably the main guy up here in League Two is Mick Kennedy. He loves it. That's the way he plays. And yeah, I watched the replay with Dumbarton, and had a high press against them. It paid dividends in the second half, and that looks the way you've got to play them. But every more and more teams are doing it. Playing it for the back, and it's quite a dangerous precedent, especially if you've got a keeper who's very good at that kind of thing. I know a lot of coaches nowadays like to employ a keeper who can play a bit of football at the back. But and as far as the other question concerned about what we get playing, Motherwell B, not a lot. Eh, it's a good competition for cash, and it's all, as I said earlier on in a podcast, it's a sweetener, for the league two teams, you know, and League One, I suppose, and the Championship. It's good money. There's no doubt about it, and that's why I asked George a question. He was talking about the money situation. So we're guaranteed 30K, George. So you said there was 15K. I suppose that the SFA kind of, or whoever it is pays you, kind of date until we're actually mathematically certain we're getting into round two. Is that right?
I think it normally comes out after you've made it through. I can find out for you, but yeah, I think it's 15 for participating
He's
in
participating,
the
yeah.
group stage, and an extra 15 if you get through. I think if we advance from the next round, we get another 10. If we advance from the round after that, it's another 10. So it's,
It's
good
good
money
money.
for a club like ours. The one thing I
Yeah,
would say is that the championship clubs come in at the next round. They're playing one game, we're playing seven
yeah,
and
yeah,
getting the same, prize money if we go out. So
yeah. That's
yeah,
true.
when you look at it that way, it's maybe not the best deal, but I can only go on what I've thought of it. I've enjoyed having the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think fans have an appetite for seeing, um, you know, clubs like ours play against youth
And
teams. That's all there is to it.
we look well on course to be the top eight, which is another bonus, isn't it? You miss the championship team, is that right?
Yeah, so we would be able to play against, we'd be seeded essentially and be able to play against the other teams from the group stage. Um, yeah, the other thing is in terms of attendances, I think we've had
Mm,
top five attendance at
yeah,
least in the round, sometimes the top attendance, even when we're playing against the B team. So credit to our support for coming out and backing the club
yeah.
and making it a success for us. If
And
it's not,
I mean, it won't go down the next time because we play Queen of the South on a Saturday, where we've got every chance, qualifying for that top eight if we beat them.
yeah, and it's people are going to want to watch a free hit against Queen of the South. So
Yeah,
um, I think that'll be yeah, hopefully an entertaining game as well, and hopefully you know like I say, this season it's been a success for us, and then we'll see what comes in the future, whether it's continuing for next year.
yep,
As you say, it's been a success for us, both on the pitch and in terms of kind of folk coming through the gates. Some of the attendances, I don't know if you've seen them, Brian, that have been put up
yeah.
online. Not great reading.
No, no, and I think it's mostly against the B teams. I think Peterhead have a reasonable tendencies up at Peterhead. They seem to be the top in the list. They've been in the 500s every game. But it's George says, to not say great attendances, but some of the attendances, I mean, I think we're just over 100,
Hmm.
which is pretty embarrassing, really, for two teams, okay, B teams and a League One, League Two team. It's pretty shocking. But I think people knew, that the B teams weren't going to attract, a lot of fans.
Lawrence had said he was picking up his son at training last night and saw the crowd leaving Spartans, and it looked like about 100. I think the official attendance was 130 or something like that, and it's just
So
yeah, I don't think the appeals there.
just a normal home game for Spartans.
You said it, not me.
If we go on to the match itself, take us through the goals, George, and then I'll come to yourself, Brian.
First one is Darren Lang's kind of known for his spectacular goals. The one against Three, the one at East Fife. This one was quite routine for him. I think Kirk McKnight picked it up. Tommy Sharp kind of plays the ball in, and simple finish for Darren really. And again, we're kind of capitalising on Motherwell playing out from the back. Danny McManus again, keeper played it out from the back and lobs him 2-0, and beautiful finish regardless of the keeper's positioning on that one. And then Salvatore on the end of a good team move. I think the finish itself, top corner, left the keeper no chance. For me, potentially we could have made more of the other chances. Lewis Reed headed over. There's one that made it to the highlights, one that didn't, which was very similar. Danny McManus put one wide. Tommy Sharp had a shot cannon off the post. So we had plenty of other chances, and on another night it could have been 7, 8, 9-0.
Again, Brian, just your thoughts on the three goals.
Yeah, good. And as we stated before, you're talking about the opposition, but I mean, you need to score goals to win games, and I think Darren was the right bit, and that is where I think Tiff is trying to encourage his players to be in that 6 yard box. See when you get a cross like that, just a poacher's goal basically. Be there at the right time, and I think we've got to encourage that. And yeah, McManus was a lovely goal, and good to see Sal on the score sheet as well. And it was a nice strike, and very comfortable 3-0 win. As you said, Cam, it could have been a lot more.
I think last season I remember speaking to Max Guthrie about a couple of goals, and one in particular must have been against Spartans, where the keeper had made the save and he was first
Yeah,
to react and put it in. As you kind of touched on, George, that the goals don't need to be spectacular. Obviously, everybody loves overhead kick, 30 yards, whatever. But at the end of the day, whether it's from a yard out when the keeper spills it, whether it's a tap in, whether it's, as I say, 30 yards, whether it's a dink over the keeper like McManus, they all count the same. And if we can get somebody just following up, just being in the 6 yard box, so much the better.
That's it, and I think that's what we need at this point. We need someone to be there and anticipate, and I think potentially that's been missing a little bit in our forward line, a little bit of awareness, anticipation, and Darren certainly brings that. You saw on Saturday against Elgin, he was quick to block the keeper at one stage, nearly got in there. So yeah, he's sharp and aware, and I think sometimes a little bit of that awareness, anticipation, maybe a little bit of aggression as well, is helpful in the forward areas.
At the other end of the pitch, as we've said, Motherwell perhaps didn't get forward as much as they would have liked. A relatively straightforward debut for Euan Henderson. He had a good save at the start of the second half, George.
Yeah, he did. Very little else to do. We spoke to him after the game, and he was, yeah, quite happy with his debut. Happy to have recorded a clean sheet and not a bead of sweat on him.
We saw him in pre-season as well, Brian, before kind of Josh basically came back to the club. He certainly didn't look out of place.
No, he seemed very capable, and that's good to know. If something just happened to Josh, we've always got a keeper of his standard that can just fill his place, and it's really good to know, and he doesn't look out of place. Very hard to tell last night, as George says, because he had little to do, but it's good, that you can call upon him if he is needed.
As George mentioned, obviously we spoke to Ewan after the game, so let's hear from him now.
Well done, Ewan. How was it making your competitive debut for the Blues tonight?
Yeah, it was really good. Waited a wee while, but it was good to finally get out there and play competitively, so it was good.
Very good. A clean sheet must have been pleasing for you.
Yes, definitely. A bit touch and go at the end, but definitely good to get a clean sheet, and it's the first one in a while for the boys, so good to get one.
Very good. 3-0 win. How do you think the team played tonight?
Thought we done well. Large parts of the game, we were quite a young, fit team. Popped the ball about, but I think we defended quite well. We played well attacking wise as well. Quite a few good chances, so and the boys took their chances well.
You played in the junior league. Was there much difference in the step up?
I think it's different in the juniors. It's you've got playing against men. It was obviously a B team, so they're not full of young boys, but they're quicker. But the juniors is just as hard as well in kind of different ways. So it's different, and just try to adapt it as much as I can.
So what do we do for tonight to go on to Saturday? How can we kick on?
Just need to take it into Saturday. Just the performance, and the defence played well, and the front 4-3 they played well as well. So just need to take it in and try and keep going, and just do what we can.
Very good. Thanks, Ewan.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Right, Brian, I can tell that you've been waiting for this question all night. You've been positively just waiting for it. What's the team going to be on Saturday?
Oh, here we go. Brian in trouble time again. Well, I mean, I think he'll play the same. What's that? Same 9 from the back, from the keeper out. 4-3-3, 4-3-3, and I think Dolan will play. I'm quite sure he'll start with O'Donnell. He likes O'Donnell, and he cost us some money, so he's got to repay the money we paid for him. But I think he's got a right, quiz on his hands. Who does he go with? Does he go with Darren, who come back to score? Does he go with Sal for pace, or does he go with Ryan? Does he stick with Ryan again? I think that's his only predicament for the team that played last night. Although they played well, and he might say, well, this player played well. I'll bring him back in. But I think those nine who started last well, maybe the 10 counting O'Donnell, and that player who plays upside alongside O'Donnell could be the one that you'll be quizzing about. Very, very hard. I mean, you're up against Mark Darnan and Morgan Neal, two very, very experienced centre halves. So it won't be easy, but the pace, Lang or Toure, could that put them in trouble, along with Corey? Don't know. I'll let Chris decide, but it's a wee bit of a choice for him.
What about yourself, George? Obviously, we mentioned there about, in theory, who'll partner Corey O'Donnell up front. Are there other positions? Could Matthew Gillis come back into the team, for example, or Sean Docherty back from suspension? Evan Dunn was on the bench last night. Ecrepont and BJ Call. There's a few decisions to be made.
I wonder as well. I think Scott Ruff's done well since coming back in. I don't know if he'll take Ruffy out for Gillis, because obviously he's a centre back. I think he'll probably
Yeah.
want Doherty at right back.
Mm.
But I don't think Gillis did anything wrong on Saturday. So yeah, he's got a. He was asking for a headache on Saturday, and I think he's got a little bit of one. Like Brian says, I think Turi and Lang could use their pace to get the better of the central defensive pairing at Dumbarton. I think much like when we played East Fife back in I think March,
Mhm.
there's a bit of you know I don't want to say they're slow, but there's an opportunity potentially there to get in behind, and I think Lang and Turi can both do that. It's just which one he goes with potentially. For me, yeah, I'd be tempted to go with Darren Lang, I think, just in terms of how sharp he looked on Tuesday night. But then you can always change it and stick Tory on for the last half an hour, 40 minutes.
I was going to say, Brian, that perhaps the one thing that counts against Darren is the fact that, as we said, that was his first start in the best part of 5 months. Does he have it in his legs to go out and play a kind of another hour from the start, or do you bring him on, as you say, maybe last 30 or so?
It's a great question, actually, Tommy. Will Tiff game the okay again to go out and get another shift? As you said, it's first 70 minutes. But I mean, as George says, I mean, even 60 minutes, 65 minutes, game that run out again, and that gets him fitter and fitter. So it'd be interesting to see what he does.
Good problems to have either way.
Yeah.
It'd be fair to say as well, we're talking about what the Stranraer team will be. I think Dumbarton made a fair few changes last night as well. You imagine they'll kind of revert back to the team that played against East Kilbride?
I'm quite sure. I mean, I think Fass has said that this KDM trophy could be used for fringe players, and that's what he did last night. And I'm quite sure he'll bring in his big gun, so to speak, on Saturday. I think it's quite an interesting game. I was looking at the stats. They drew one each with Elgin as well at the Rock, and funnily enough, we had two shots on target on Saturday against Elgin. They had two shots on target. On Saturday, Elgin had six shots on target. Against Dumbarton, they had six shots on target. So it's been quite close. So I think we've arguably played better away from home this season. You know, Forfar being the only dip. We're good at East Kilbride, and if the officials had done their job, we could have got a point there. And Stirling, we should definitely get one, not maybe even 3 points against Stirling. It was another good performance. Just couldn't put the ball in the net. So I think we've played okay away from home, and I think it'll be quite a good game. And I mean, I know there's Dumbarton. If you take away Dumbarton's points deduction, I think they'd be joint top. So it's 13 points in front of us. But whether that proves I can't say that word. Whether that proves right on Saturday, we'll see.
I guess one of the other questions, George, will we have one Ecrepont playing for Stranraer? Will we have one Ecrepont playing for Dumbarton? Will we have both playing? Will we have none of them playing? Time will tell on that one, I guess.
How many Ecreponts would you like? Yeah, I think Finn was excellent last night, Tuesday night. He was Euan Holmes' man of the match, I think he said on commentary. Just as an aside as well, I don't know what Brian made of the references to the old Ewan shout from a couple of years ago.
I thought Mr. Kelly done quite well with that.
And it's a goal!
Goal! Down and long.
Dead and long.
Bang, bang.
Ewan!
Maybe not loud enough with the Ewan right enough, but he done fine.
He was quite chuffed. I think he was happy to get a bang bang in as well.
I think it's quite a good argument about that. Fans are either way we call or Ecrepont, Cammy. You know, there's fans for Ecrepont, fans for Call. Call seems to get the call at the moment, but you never know. You know, Tiff might take on board Finn's performance last night. The other Ecrepont, I think Kelly is a shoe into being goals for Dumbarton.
So looking ahead to Saturday, I'll come to you both like I think I did last week as well. Are we going to get a win? Are we going to make it 3 unbeaten?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I think again, you know, I mean, a point. I know we've got to start winning games, but a point wouldn't be a disaster. You know, we Annan playing East Kilbride. You know, I mean, you would obviously think East Kilbride will do the business there because Annan has shipped goals for fun this season. So, you know, but I think the wins is round the corner. I've been saying that for 7 games now, but I think the win is just round the corner, and hopefully Saturday, you know, we can score first, you know, and maybe get a second and hold on.
I think it's one of those where if you get a win Saturday or the Saturday after, then those points look really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, if we keep saying they're going to win, eventually it'll turn.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Brecon City fans were saying that as well a few years ago. We'll move on from that. I understand as well, Brian, that you're missing this weekend, so it might just be that Lady Luck decides to smile on us when you're not there. Where are you going to be keeping an eye on the score?
Well, the wife will fall out my because on the Saturday I'll be looking at my phone. I'm going to Cooper in Fife. Is it the Bonnie with Cooper? Is it Bonnie with Cooper at Fife? Am I right, Tommy? You too young for that, are you?
Too young for that one, I'm afraid.
I know Andy Stewart sung it. I think it was the Bonnie with Cooper at Fife. I'm sure some of our older viewers will remember it. So I'm going to a farm cottage in Cooper in Fife, should I say. So I'm looking forward to a wee bit of a break. So I'm not on the podcast next week either. So I'll have a wee week's break and I'll be back with all guns blazing for the end game.
I'll hold my hands up and say that reference has gone totally over my head, Brian. Didn't understand a word of it, but I'm sure you're totally right. So, on that note, we'll call it a night just now. We'll see Brian back in a fortnight after his 1-game suspension. And fingers crossed, in 7 days, we're sitting here talking about a famous win for Stranraer at Dumbarton.